Stoics are not emotionless. Let's clear up the misunderstanding. Imagine a quiet morning, the kind where the sun rises slowly, sending its golden rays gently through the window blinds. The air feels still, almost as if the entire world is pausing, waiting patiently for your first conscious thought of the day. In that soft space between sleep and wakefulness, when your mind is still tender and untouched by the day's chaos, perhaps you hear an inner voice, a voice that doesn't shout but whispers, steady, calm, reassuring. Be calm, be still, accept whatever comes. That voice feels old, doesn't it? As though it carries the weight of centuries echoing from distant times under the Mediterranean sky, when philosophers sat beneath marble columns pondering life's great questions. It is unmistakably the voice of the Stoics, but then, cutting through that serenity, another voice arises, sharper, doubtful, and skeptical. Aren't Stoics just cold, emotionless people? Don't they suppress every feeling as if emotions are enemies? And if so, is that truly a life worth living? There it is, the persistent misunderstanding that clings to Stoicism like a shadow that refuses to fade. This misconception has haunted the philosophy for centuries, painting Stoics as stone-hearted, unfeeling, detached beings. But is that truly who they were? Or is there more beneath the surface? Today I want to take you on a journey, a story not just of history, but of discovery. Together we'll peel back the layers of confusion and uncover the real heart of Stoicism, clearing away the fog that has obscured its meaning for far too long. Chapter 1. Man by the Sea. Picture this scene. A weathered old man sitting on a worn rock by the Aegean Sea. The salty breeze plays with his robe, while his eyes, steady and deep, remain fixed on the endless horizon. This is Epictetus, once a slave, now a revered philosopher. His legs are crippled, a reminder of his past hardships, but his mind? It's agile, sharp, and fiercely alive. A young man approaches, his shoulders heavy with heartbreak, frustration, and the weariness that only deep grief can bring. His face betrays a storm of questions, and with a voice tinged with accusation, he asks, "Master, why do you Stoics teach people to feel nothing? Is the heart such a dangerous thing that we must silence it?" Epictetus lets out a soft chuckle, his gaze never leaving the gentle rhythm of the waves before him. After a pause, he gestures toward the sea and replies, "Tell me, young man, do you see the sea? Look carefully. When the wind blows fiercely, the waters churn, they rise up in chaos, crash against themselves, and then recede. But when the wind rests, the surface is calm, yet beneath that stillness there is life, depth, and movement you cannot see." That is how a Stoic lives with emotions. What a striking metaphor. The Stoics never claim that one must be devoid of feelings. On the contrary, they acknowledge that emotions are a natural and essential part of being human. However, they also taught that, like the sea, we hold power beneath our surface. The question is, do we allow the storms to dictate our direction? Or do we cultivate the wisdom to observe them, understand them, and respond with clarity? Commentary. This perspective reframes everything, doesn't it? To feel is undeniably human, but to be ruled by those feelings, that, in the eyes of the Stoics, is the real danger. For when we let emotions govern our actions without reflection, we become like the stormy sea, restless, unpredictable, and often destructive. The Stoic goal was never emotional suppression. It was emotional mastery. They sought not to extinguish feelings, but to understand them, regulate them, and remain anchored amidst their waves. Chapter 2. Marcus Aurelius and the midnight storm. Let us now travel further. beyond the shores of the Aegean, deep into the heart of the Roman Empire. There, in the midst of power and grandeur, sits Marcus Aurelius, emperor, philosopher, and soldier of the mind. He is burdened by wars on distant frontiers, by betrayals within his court, by the weight of governing an empire where every decision carries immense consequence. Picture him inside his dimly lit military tent, the night sky heavy with clouds. A storm rages outside, winds howling, rain lashing against the canvas. And there, under the dim glow of an oil lamp, Marcus picks up his stylus and writes in his private journal, the reflections that would one day become the meditations. He writes, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." What a thought, penned not from comfort, but from the eye of the storm itself. Marcus Aurelius commanded legions, yet he knew that no army could command fate. He understood that while we cannot control the tempest outside, we can and must govern the mind within, and that leads us deeper into understanding what Stoicism really teaches about emotions, control, and the human experience. Let's explore that together in page 2, where we will uncover how Marcus Aurelius's wisdom shapes our understanding of emotional mastery, even in the face of life's fiercest storms. Here lies the very essence of Stoicism. It is not about denying pain, nor is it about pretending sorrow does not exist. Instead, it is about seeing pain clearly, recognizing it for what it is, and holding it gently without allowing it to crush your spirit. Marcus Aurelius, despite being emperor and a philosopher, was still human. Surely he felt fear when wars threatened his empire, sorrow when friends betrayed him, and exhaustion when his duties seemed endless. But the difference? He did not let those turbulent emotions take the reins of his decisions. Instead, he stood back, watching them come and go, like a man standing in a sturdy shelter, observing lightning flash across a darkened sky. The storm rages loud, bright, wild, but inside the shelter he remains composed, grounded, safe. And isn't that in itself an extraordinary form of courage? To feel the storm inside, to hear its howling winds and see its blinding flashes, yet still refuse to become the storm. To not let the chaos within dictate the choices you make. Chapter 3. The false image of the Stoic. Yet, centuries later, how do we remember the Stoics? Often as cold, expressionless figures, as if they were statues carved from marble, gazing blankly ahead, detached from the world and from themselves. Why has this image endured for so long? Perhaps because from the outside, discipline can easily be mistaken for detachment. When someone remains composed during a crisis, we often assume they must not be feeling much at all. But is that a fair judgment? Let me share a modern story that might clarify this. Picture a surgeon in the middle of a delicate heart surgery. The operating room is tense, the air heavy with unspoken fears. Outside, the patient's family waits, hearts pounding with anxiety, eyes scanning the clock with each passing second. Inside the room, the surgeon's hands remain steady, eyes focused, mind sharp. There is no room for trembling hands, no space for tears or panic, even though the gravity of life and death is not lost on them. Does this calmness mean the surgeon is heartless or unfeeling? Of course not. It means they are focused. They are aware that giving in to fear or sorrow in that critical moment would serve no one, least of all the patient, and that is what it means to be Stoic. Chapter 4. The dance of emotions contrary to common belief. Stoicism does not teach us to reject emotions. Far from it. In fact, the Stoics studied emotions with great care, mapping them out with the precision of philosophers and the curiosity of scientists. They divided emotions into two distinct categories. Passions. These are the destructive, uncontrolled emotions born from false judgments and misunderstandings about what truly matters. Good feelings. These include joy, caution, kindness, and goodwill. Emotions guided by reason, aligned with virtue. To better understand this, imagine a dance. If you were to flail your body without any rhythm or awareness of the music, your movements would be chaotic, perhaps even harmful to yourself and others. But if you tune into the melody, feel the beat, and let your steps flow in harmony with the rhythm, what emerges is grace, beauty, and control. Likewise, the Stoic doesn't seek to suppress emotions entirely. They seek to guide them, shape them, just as a skilled dancer commands their body with intention and finesse. Seneca, the Roman playwright, statesman, and a revered Stoic thinker once wrote, "We are not given life for idle grief. We must act, think, and live rightly." Seneca himself was no stranger to deep feelings. His letters reveal a man of empathy, humor, frustration, and tenderness. Yet he deliberately chose not to drown in these emotional waves. He understood that to live rightly was to feel, but to feel with wisdom and restraint. Chapter 5. Clearing. The misunderstanding still, the question lingers, why does the myth persist? Why do so many still see Stoics as unfeeling, emotionless beings? Perhaps it is because true emotional control often appears as indifference to the casual observer. Picture a friend who doesn't shed tears at a funeral but offers quiet, steady support to those who do. Or imagine a leader who, when insulted or wronged, doesn't lash out in anger, but responds with patience and measured words. From the outside, it may seem as though they are suppressing their feelings, holding something back, but perhaps they aren't suppressing anything. Perhaps they have simply learned a different art, the art of temperance, and here is a truth worth remembering. Stoicism is not about feeling less. It is about feeling rightly, not about absence, but about alignment, ensuring that our emotions serve us, guide us towards virtue, and help us live in harmony with both reason and nature. When viewed this way, Stoicism reveals itself not as a cold philosophy, but as a deeply human, profoundly compassionate guide to navigating life's emotional landscape, and this understanding prepares us to explore further because the Stoics didn't just categorize emotions. They taught practical strategies for engaging with them wisely. We'll delve into those next, uncovering how we, too, can master this delicate dance between feeling and reason. Alternative. Feel, yes, but question. Feel, yes, but always question. Is this feeling rooted in reality, or is it merely a shadow cast by distorted judgment? That is the Stoic way. In our modern age, we often celebrate emotions as the ultimate form of truth. We hear it everywhere. Feel it all, express it all. As if every emotion we experience is inherently wise, inherently valid. But is that truly the case? Let's be honest. Not all feelings serve us. Some arise from misunderstandings, from illusions, from stories we tell ourselves that aren't even true. Some feelings lie to us. They inflate our fears, distort our perceptions, and lead us away from reason, and this is where Stoicism steps in, not to silence feelings, but to refine them, to help us discern between emotions that are signals of truth and those that are merely echoes of confusion. Chapter 6. The Gentle. Heart of a Stoic. Picture this scene. You're standing in the middle of a storm. The rain lashes down in icy sheets. The wind howls mercilessly, and your clothes cling to your skin, soaked and heavy. You shiver, teeth chattering, wishing for shelter. Suddenly a Stoic passes by. Without a word, they remove their cloak and drape it over your shoulders. Then, with a calm voice, they say, "The storm will pass, but until then, stay warm." That, my friend, is the Stoic heart, practical, compassionate, steady. The Stoic doesn't pretend the storm isn't real. They don't tell you to ignore the rain or that your shivering is unnecessary. Instead, they offer you something useful, something that helps you endure. And isn't that what we all need sometimes? Not empty platitudes, but a firm, kind presence. Beside us, someone who says, "Yes, it hurts. Yes, it's cold. But let's face it together, wisely." Commentary. To me, Stoicism has never been about detachment in the cold clinical sense. It's about anchoring, finding that solid, unshakable ground within yourself when the world above feels like it's collapsing, like a ship dropping. Anchored during a stormy sea, the Stoic mind holds steady, preventing the heart from drifting into panic or despair. Epictetus, the freed slave turned philosopher, said it best: "It's not things that disturb us, but our opinions about things." How many times have we suffered not because of the event itself, but because of the meaning we attach to it? That's the key. A Stoic reframes pain not by pretending it doesn't exist, but by understanding its true source. They ask themselves, is this within my control? If yes, then act. If no, then accept with grace. Chapter 7. A Stoic's tears. You might be wondering, do Stoics cry? Are they allowed to grieve, to weep, to feel sorrow? The answer is simple. Yes, they do. Seneca mourned deeply for the friends he lost. His letters are filled with tenderness and personal grief. Marcus Aurelius, despite being the ruler of the vast Roman Empire, wrote of his pain at losing his beloved children, several of whom died young. Can you imagine that? The weight of an empire on your shoulders, all while carrying the heartbreak of burying your own offspring, yet neither of them collapsed under the weight of their grief. They cried, yes, but they did not allow their tears to define them. They held their sadness carefully, like one holds a delicate glass, aware that it might shatter, aware of its fragility, but also mindful that it is not the only thing they hold. In other words, crying is not weakness. Feeling sorrow is not a failure, but living entirely through sorrow, drowning in it, letting it color every part of life, that is a life unguarded. A Life Adrift, Chapter 8, bringing Stoicism into our lives. So, how can we live like the Stoics today without misinterpreting their message? How do we embrace emotions without becoming enslaved by them? The Stoic process is simple, yet profound. Acknowledge your emotions. Don't bury them. Don't pretend you're unaffected. Let the emotion rise to the surface. Examine them. Ask, where is this feeling coming from? Is it rooted in truth or in a false judgment? Decide how to act. Let reason, not impulse, be your guide. For instance, let's say anger flares up within you. A Stoic wouldn't just lash out. Instead, they would pause and reflect, why am I angry? What belief has triggered this? Is my judgment clouded? More importantly, Is this situation within my control? Only after this reflection do they respond. Not with rage, but with clarity and composure. Reflection by clearing away the fog of misunderstanding. We come to see that Stoicism is not cold, emotionless philosophy. On the contrary, it is warm. It is steady, like the reassuring hand of a mentor resting gently on your shoulder, whispering, "You are more than your feelings, but your feelings are still part of you." Learn to walk with them, not behind, not ahead, but beside. Because ultimately, emotions are not enemies to be conquered. They are companions to be understood. And when we walk this path with the wisdom of the Stoics, we don't become less human, we become more deeply human, tempered by reason, anchored by virtue, and carried forward by compassion. Chapter 9. The Modern Stoic, a story close to homelet. Me share with you the story of Anna. She isn't a philosopher seated in an ivory tower, nor an emperor with the power of an empire behind her. She's just an ordinary woman, someone who might pass you on the street or sit beside you on the train. Perhaps in many ways she isn't so different from you or me. Anna lives in the heart of a bustling, noisy city, the kind where the mornings start with blaring alarms and end with crowded subways and endless notifications buzzing on her phone. She juggles work deadlines that never seem to end, traffic that tests her patience daily, and family responsibilities that pull her in a dozen directions at once. Life for her is a whirlwind, a constant rhythm of demands, interruptions, and small crises. Yet despite this chaos, people who know Anna often describe her in one word: uncheckable. But let's be clear, Anna is no emotionless statue. She feels everything. She feels frustration when her train is delayed yet again, leaving her late for a meeting. She feels sadness when a close friend cancels plans last minute, especially on days she really needed company. She feels the quiet anxiety that creeps in late at night when she thinks about her uncertain future. What makes Anna different is not the absence of these feelings, but how she handles them. She has trained herself, through reflection and practice, to pause when emotion surges within her. In those moments, she takes a slow, deliberate breath and asks herself a simple, Stoic-inspired question: is this within my control? If the answer is yes, she acts. She sends the email, makes the call, or apologizes if needed. If the answer is no, she lets it go, not out of indifference, but with a kind of graceful understanding. She releases it like one releases a balloon into the sky, knowing that holding tighter would only weigh her down. Commentary. What Anna demonstrates isn't coldness. It's what I would call applied stoicism in its purest form. She's not shutting her heart off from the world, far from it. Instead, she's practicing emotional intelligence, the art of feeling deeply while choosing wisely. Her calmness is not some mysterious gift she was born with. It is a skill honed over time, a mastery over the self, not by suppressing emotions, but by befriending them, by learning when to listen and when to let go. There's a profound lesson here for all of us. In a world that constantly provokes us, tests us, and pulls at our emotional strings, we don't need to become stone. Instead, like Anna, we can feel the fire within, but refuse to let it burn us down. Chapter 10. The Philosophy of Still Water Now. Imagine for a moment a perfectly clear, still pond nestled deep in a quiet forest. The surface is smooth as glass, reflecting the sky above. Then a stone drops into the water, breaking the stillness, sending ripples across the surface. But watch long enough and you'll see the ripples fade, and the water returns to peace. This is the image Stoicism offers us, to be like that pond. To be responsive when life throws its stones, when challenges, surprises, or emotions arise, yet always capable of returning to stillness. Emotions will disturb us, that's a certainty. But the turmoil need not last forever. The Stoics teach us that inner peace is not something we are given, it's something we cultivate, like a garden tended daily. Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher emperor himself, captured this beautifully when he wrote, "If you're distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it, and this you have the power to revoke at any moment." Isn't that a striking insight? The idea that we hold the power to change our perception, to adjust our mental lens. Peace, then, is not passive. It is an active discipline. Like the pond that always finds its way back to stillness, we too can learn to restore our own calm after life's inevitable disruptions. Chapter 11. Emotions are teachers, but let us not forget, Stoicism doesn't paint emotions as enemies. On the contrary, the Stoics understood that emotions are some of life's greatest teachers. Each feeling carries a lesson, if only we're willing to listen. Fear teaches us caution, helping us navigate real dangers. Anger reveals boundaries that have been crossed, signaling where respect is lacking. Sadness honors the things and people we've lost, reminding us of what truly matters. Joy celebrates connection, beauty, and the fleeting wonders of being alive. The problem, according to the Stoics, is not that we feel, it's when we allow these emotions to become tyrants, seizing control of our minds and actions. Imagine a king who listens to his advisors, wise counselors who help him make decisions. That's what emotions should be, advisors, not rulers. When anger or fear takes the throne, we lose our sovereignty. But when reason and virtue sit at the head of the table, emotions can serve their rightful place as guides, not masters. This is the balance Stoicism offers. Not suppression, not denial, but alignment. An inner harmony where every emotion is heard, every impulse examined. But reason has the final word, and isn't that the kind of life we all long for? Not one devoid of feeling, but one where feelings enrich us, inform us, without ever enslaving us. Chapter 12. The balance between heart and mind. To live as a Stoic is not to sever the heart from the mind, but rather to let them move together like a dance, where each step is a delicate balance between feeling and reasoning. Picture it this way. The heart is a wild, magnificent horse, full of strength, energy, and passion, but prone to sprinting off the path if left unchecked. The mind, in this image, is the reins, not there to restrain the horse harshly, but to guide it gently along the right course. Seneca, one of the great Stoic minds, captured this perfectly when he said, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." And isn't that the truth? How often have you felt consumed by anxiety or fear, only to realize later that the monster was not under your bed, but within your mind? Our emotions can easily run wild when left unexamined, creating shadows larger than any reality. The Stoic, however, learns to pause, not to reject the feeling, but to ask, is this real? Or is it just a shadow I've enlarged with my own thoughts? That questioning doesn't erase emotion, but it tames the runaway horse, allowing the heart and mind to move together in harmony. Chapter 13. The gentle art of acceptance. At the core of Stoicism is a soft but profound beauty, the art of acceptance. But let's be clear. Acceptance doesn't mean resignation or passivity. It means looking life in the eye with all its rawness, imperfections, and unpredictability, and choosing to walk forward anyway. With grace and dignity, Epictetus, despite having a body crippled by slavery and misfortune, lived with pride and serenity. Marcus Aurelius, burdened with wars, betrayals, and plagues, ruled with a pen in one hand and philosophy in the other, writing not with bitterness, but with hope. They didn't pretend life was easy. Instead, they embraced it as it was and carried their burdens without complaint, knowing that true strength is shown not in perfect circumstances, but in perfect composure amidst imperfection. Chapter 14. When Stoicism meets love, many still ask with curiosity and skepticism, can a Stoic truly love? The answer is an undeniable yes. The Stoic loves deeply, but not blindly. They love with eyes wide open, fully aware that life is fragile, that people can change, and that fate can take away what we cherish most. But this awareness doesn't diminish. Love, it makes it more precious, more deliberate. To love like a Stoic is to hold someone's hand, knowing that hand might not always be there, yet still cherishing every heartbeat, every laugh, every shared moment. It is a love that doesn't possess but honors. A love that doesn't cling but appreciates, because to a Stoic, every encounter is a gift, fleeting, beautiful, and worthy of reverence. Chapter 15. The legacy of Stoicism today. Fast forward to today, and you'll find Stoicism alive and well, not just in philosophy classes, but in therapy rooms, leadership seminars, and personal development books. Writers like Ryan Holiday and philosophers like Massimo Pegliucci have brought Stoic wisdom back into modern conversations, proving that these ancient teachings are not relics, but roadmaps for the present. In a world that seems to spin faster every day, with constant notifications, endless demands, and emotional overload, Stoicism offers us an anchor. It whispers, you cannot control the wind, but you can adjust your sails. What an empowering thought. This isn't emotional detachment. This is wisdom infused with heart, a way of living that keeps us steady, yet fully alive. Chapter 16. Final reflections. So the next time you hear someone dismiss Stoics as cold or unfeeling, remember this: they are not cold, they are calm, they are not indifferent. They are disciplined, they are not heartless, they are harmonious. This is the essence of Stoicism, to feel deeply, yet to remain the master of those feelings too. Laugh, to weep, to love, but never to be ruled by the tides of emotion. And here is a question for you to carry forward. What emotion within me have I misunderstood? And how might I meet it, not with fear or denial, but with wisdom and compassion? Because in truth, the Stoic is not some stone statue. They are a living, breathing, imperfect human, just like you. They feel the sting of sorrow, the thrill of joy, the ache of longing. But they do so with eyes open, with a mind clear and a heart steady. And perhaps in today's chaotic world, what we need most is not to feel less, but to feel wisely. To cultivate that gentle strength, that wise heart, one that holds space for emotion, but stays anchored in reason. And that, my friend, might just be the kind of balance the world is yearning for.